Good morning, it's Yvonne here from the Aussie Goddess to do your bonus read for Saturday the 1st of December. That's a very easy date to remember, the 1st, because you all talk about it coming up and it sort of stays in your head, unlike other dates that just sort of fleet past, unless it's, I can't say it's someone's birthday because I always forget birthdays. I remember somebody saying once that they were a woman, so they were really good at remembering dates, and I was like, eek, I must be a man then. No offence to any men out there, but I thought it was a really strange thing to say. I was like, that's really crazy. I know men who are fabulous at dates. Why would you think that's about women remembering anniversaries? I'm never been a person who could remember people's anniversaries and whatever else, unless it was particularly prominent. I know my son got married in October, but I can't remember the date. Was it October? I'm pretty sure it's October. And they've just had a baby, and I still don't know the baby's date. So that's how I am. I have to write those dates down. I have terrible problems remembering my grandchildren's dates of birth. Isn't that awful? I know that they're in a particular month, so I can usually track them down. I can remember my kids' birthdays, but just if you don't remember those things, don't be worried. Don't be worried, because socially you're supposed to be accepting that you get things right all the time. I'm incredibly good at everything else I do. It's just not my forte. Okay, what's cracking for Saturday the 1st of December? Oh, I saw this card flip out in the other deck. Remember how I said I'd changed decks now? So I had the Julia Massaglia one, and now I've got the Hanson Roberts deck. This card flipped out a couple of times from that deck as well, so that's quite interesting. A lot of people going through reconciliations at the moment, coming back with people, having a second chance to do something. This may not always be romantic. It may be having a second chance at a job, maybe a second chance with a family member. It's something that's being revived or brought around for you to have another look at. It's about rebirth. It can be about you, what do you say, doing up your image, changing your image, cutting your hair. This is about having a chance at doing something again differently. You could have had an awakening. You could have had an awakening here. Okay, so the first card we've got out is the Two of Rods. Now, the Two of Rods talks about having two pathways to walk and not being sure which way to go. In the card, he's carrying the world. So it's like that whole thing of you've got the whole world in your hands, and I'm not going to burst into song. I'm definitely not going to do that. So it's about having two ways to go. There are a number of things about this card that I really love. Okay, one thing is that the sun's coming up. So it's like you've got a choice of, taking two different paths. And your life is about to open up in incredible ways, because this sun is about to shine on you. And we all know the sun is a beautiful card. So it's like the anticipation on his face is evident in that card. Okay. And then we have the Empress here. So the Empress talks of a woman who is very, very much natural, beautiful. She's the start of new things. She's also Mother Earth, Gaia. She's, the pregnant woman, the woman that's pregnant with life rather than with a baby. It can talk about pregnancy, but it can also talk about you finding something within yourself that's entirely beautiful and natural. She's really very lovely. And this Two of Rods guy is looking straight at her. So it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. Okay, so we have the Hanged Man here. Now, the Hanged Man talks of taking time out to enlighten yourself. I often see this one coming up when people have been through, a period of insight, darkness, after relationship breakups, after deaths of people. It's often a card that sort of comes up around that. But it's about really looking inside yourself to understand, whether it's anything to do with grief, loss, hurt, pain. It seems to come up a lot after that. But it's definitely about, you know, inner searching, inner soul seeking. And then we have another card about going inside. The Hermit, however, is a little bit different because the Hermit's sort of a person who takes time away from the world to do some healing, but also to have a greater understanding of where he's from and what he's doing. He carries a torch because he's trying to shine a light on those things within himself that he needs to really look at. So it's very much a card of taking time out to heal. Okay, and then we have the Tower. Now, I said in the daily read, this Tower keeps coming out all the time. So we have a lot of people who are about to go through a Tower moment. I've got Spirit. My ears are really like cracking with messages this morning. So there seems to be a lot of messages for people out there. So the Tower talks about the breaking down of old structure, looking at things from a different perspective, having an epiphany moment. But it also talks about rebuilding, and that's what I love about the Tower, is you get a chance to rebuild something. And especially with the Judgment card coming up here, I would say there's something about to happen that you get to do again that you didn't get to do around the first time. Now, I've had a lot of this coming up lately with people who've been doing the work from their childhood and understanding negative connotations, negative stories, cycles that we've been taught, things about ourselves that aren't true, and it can be a breaking down of those sort of structures. Now, I have the Queen of Wands coming out here, and the Queen of Wands is a woman who's very beautiful, very attractive, very confident. She's passionate. She has great intuition. She's ready for new starts here. Definitely ready for new starts because she's got this wand and she's ready to move forward on it. Okay, I'll do another card and we'll do a recap. This is about moving away. Six of Swords, moving away or moving to calmer waters. Something in this Tower moment, something here. Something here. You've got, you know, a walking towards two new paths. You've got two women who signify that you've changed. You've come out of something and you're a different person. We have two cards here of enlightenment and seeking, soul seeking, going inside. We have the Tower and the Judgment card, which both talk about being able to have another go at something, rebuild something, moving forward. And then we have the Six of Swords. So for me, this sort of looks like a lot of you are doing some sort of internal changes here that are bringing you out as this Empress energy. Reviewing, life reviewing, ready to move forward on something, like maybe throwing off the shackles of the past. I'm surprised we don't have the Devil here. But being able to leave the past behind and move forward. And I really like that because a lot of people have so much trouble letting go of the past. It's something we're taught. I don't know what we do, but we seem to teach people about living in the past. And that's a really sad thing because the past is gone. Now, I know the past holds memories and the past holds experience. The past holds so many beautiful things for many of you, but this is about not living there. There's a big difference. And I'm sure you've heard the people who say, oh, it was so much better in my day when we didn't have this, and these kids, somebody did it to me yesterday, these kids on their iPads, you know, it's going to ruin them, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, people said that about my record player when I was a kid. Oh, you know, if you give her a record player and she listens to music all the time, she'll never be able to do anything else. She'll end up being some sort of, I don't know, zombie or something. And I think it's such a narrow-minded attitude. Things change all the time. We change with it. And many of us are happy to sort of move forward, and other people get really stuck in what's happened. And the whole, you know, this whole reading is about being able to let go, being able to understand why you need to let go of things, but being able to move forward into this beautiful energy here. And I feel like for many of you here, before I've even laid the cards down, there's this tremendous feeling that you're having trouble doing this by yourself. And this can be the Tower moment. Now, for me, from a personal perspective, what I get here is some of this stuff is so deeply seated within me that I've tried to work through. And I know that because it's been a very enlightening and emotional time for me, digging through stuff from my past, trying to understand what it is that makes me think and do the things I do, especially within relationships, which I know, again, a lot of people can relate to. It's stuff we've been taught. We've romanticized love. We watch movies, we read books, we have, you know, all these ideas about how love and relationships should pan out. And then when we get into the real life, we're so disillusioned and confused by what we actually meet. And for a lot of that's working with, you know, people you meet who are cold, unavailable, narcissistic, whatever you'd like to call them. It makes it very difficult for us to understand why we're givers and other people are takers. So something in our childhoods that we've learned that has made us think of, you know, this is only one example, please, but think of love as being so, you know, so perfect. We don't see it as being an imperfect thing. And for a lot of us, that has become something that we've had to work through. So what I'd like to say to you is, sometimes with this tower being brought in, it's not that you haven't been doing this good work, because you probably have, but something is more deeper seated here than what you've been able to get hold of. And somehow or another, the universe now has to wake you up to that. Because you need to bring some stability in. Maybe you're a person who hasn't always had stability in your life. Maybe you've been seeking to find stability on the outside of you rather than inside. So now is the time to put down this 10 of Rods. It's the end of a cycle here. And I know that because the tower is like an enforced end of cycle. And look at this, 10 of Swords. So we definitely have cycles ending here. This is the cycle of negative thinking, which is just what I've been talking about. You know, not loving yourself, not having good self-awareness, not having self-value, thinking about everybody else in your world other than yourself, and not understanding that in order for us all to survive, self-love comes first. And I know that sounds really sort of like, what do you call it? Like airy-fairy, you know, like a lot of psychological stuff. People said it to me years ago, and I really did not understand what they were trying to say. But that's why we're here. We're here to love ourselves and then to have that love on others, to move it on others, to love other people. And we don't know how to love until we love ourselves. It's impossible. So you've got to fill your own cup up first, basically. Okay. Filling your own cup is the most important thing of all. Once your own cup is filled, then you've got enough to give to other people. Now, I know that's deep and meaningful. It doesn't mean you can't love somebody else. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is loving yourself gives you the opportunity to love other people in a way that they should be loved. Same as you should love yourself in the way you should be loved. I could talk for hours on that, but I won't. I've already said too much. I'm already doing a blab. But anyway, I know people will understand what I'm talking about. So this is about the universe enforcing something on you because you haven't been able to work it out for yourself. Now, I know a lot of people portray the tower as some, ooh, the tower's coming, you know, the tower's coming. Don't be thinking of like that. This is sometimes that moment when you go, oh my God, I just didn't realise that's what it meant. Tower moment. Sometimes it can be something more physical that needs to jolt you out of your revelry, out of your dream state. But for most people, this is about, you know, just a realization of how things need to be done, and this beautiful progressive movement forward, letting go of these things from the past here. This 10 of Swords, 10 of Wands, putting them down, understanding. Okay, so the card that's come out for you is Key, and it talks about new beginnings and directions and adventures await for those ready to let go of the past. You're so good, Spirit. Perfect. Absolutely perfect. Goes beautifully with this reading. Wonderful reading for a Saturday morning. Have a wonderful weekend. I'll be back tomorrow with your bonus and your What's Cracking. See ya.